Today I will bestow all of the knowledge I've gathered over the years. Oh, fuck me. Edit that out. Let's run that back. You gotta take two. Didn't have that out, huh? Cool. Okay. Welcome to the channel, everybody. I've never done this before. This is gonna be real great. It's gonna be flawless. How to start? Man, what do the people want to know? Where to begin? You know, just can't put my finger on it. I think we'll start with the settings. It's called a gut instinct. Let me just die real quick. So I run 100-100. Do you need a high sense to play Doom? Not really. But the benefit of a high sense is you can turn faster, right? You can gather information faster just because you can look around easier. And you can just react better, right? There is a tech called a turn punch, which would take a quiet sense. That did. That was in English. There's a tech called a turn punch. You don't really need it anymore. It does take high sense, but really it's just like a traversal thing, which is cool to know, but not essential. But of course, this is all subjective. A good sense is one you can aim with. You know, if you can't aim, it's not good. Aim assist window size. Something you may or may not have noticed is if there are multiple enemies in front of you, your aim kinda like wobbles because it can't pick because the window size is so big. So the smaller it is, the more control you have over who you're actually trying to hit. Lower it is, the closer your aim has to be before the slowdown happens for the aim assist. Pretty sure that isn't like the science behind it, but that's how it feels. Aim assist strength, 100 baby! You're the assist in the world, you know? Why would you ever want less? Aim assist ease in. Pretty sure this is that weird space between where your manual aim and the aim assist kicks in. There's like a weird spot there. Yeah, I don't really know about that one. You do you. Aim smoothing. In my opinion, this is the big one. If you're gonna change anything about your current settings, I would lower this. If this is at 100, lower it by like 1 and see how it feels. It takes away that like the weight, the sluggishness of 100, even just 99, you'll feel it. Aim technique. We just rock with dual zone because it's the most balanced. Exponential is weird and linear feels like butter. You know, it's like he oiled up your fingies. Turns into a bit of a slip and slide. But me personally, I would rather slide than slip. Button layout. So nothing too crazy. I just swapped left and right trigger just because I always fist his right hand. Right trigger. Just kind of like an OCD thing. I put slam on L3. Why? Control. When you slam on L3, I just find it gives you so much more control. Mid-air. So you can go for these like Superman punches. Really easy. It really just lets you keep control of your left and right stick at the same time. Fuck, I missed. Ability breakdown. Punch, slam, block. Everybody knows them, everybody loves them. But what do these abilities do, and what are they for? So first, I think we'll talk about what makes him a tank, and that's Rocket Punch. Believe it or not, your most offensive ability is why you're a tank. So, let's go over what this thing can do. This ability right here. It can hold space, it can take space. It's your movement, it's a stun, which makes it an ability canceller. Knowing what you can and can't cancel is very important, because this is where most of your counterplay will come from, and it'll kind of change the playstyle based on the matchup. Now, your punch isn't where the majority of your kills come from. It's used to set up kills. The first time you played Doom and you punched somebody, your reaction was probably, that didn't do shit. Most of your damage actually comes from your little hand. This little guy right here. Let me explain. When you punch somebody, they go in a straight line. Well, sometimes. You hope they do. But when somebody's moving in a very predictable line, you can set up a very predictable shot, preferably in their face. Because this little hand does a lot of damage. And it's almost like a flick. If you play a lot of video games, you probably know what a flick is. So you punch somebody, you kind of predict where their head is going to be, and you flick and shoot them in the head. They did recently just nerf the stun on the punch for some reason, but it all pretty much works the same. It's just you have a smaller window to line up the headshot to actually get a kill. So It's less consistent, because we all know a hero with a lot of bugs needs to be less consistent. So to reiterate, big hand, set up kills, little hand, get the kill. Empowered punch, basically everything that normal punch, but better. Longer stun, more damage. So it's easier to get kills, because you have more time to set up the shot, and you also need to land less shots because the punch does more damage. Speaking of, we're talking about power block. The worst ability you have. I'm not joking. The whole purpose of power block is to get empowered punch. That's it. That's its use. You never just use it raw. It's never the first thing you do. You don't initiate with it. If you think you're about to get your head blown off, that's when you use it. Or you see damage coming very clearly and you catch it. It's more like a parry. Catch a bunch of damage and you pretty much send it back in the form of an empowered punch, killing half their team while their tank sits there wondering, what the fuck just happened?
Yes, okay.
My opponent.
Not so fast.
That being said, in worst case scenarios you can use it to buy time for your other cooldowns. The problem is, you're a mobile hero, right? You're hyper mobile. You have an ability that is the opposite of everything that you want to do. So I mean, the ability's fine, I just wouldn't count on it to keep you alive, but the goal of power block is to get the enemy to shoot you. Now this is why you never use it first, you use it second. When you use your slam or your punch, you're damaging a lot of enemies. And usually the reaction to that is to shoot you. So if you punch somebody and then you block, you are more likely to catch damage. If you slam and then block, you're more likely to catch damage. If you just block willy-nilly, they're gonna look at you like you're an idiot. Next up we have Seismic Slam. What can it do? It's movement, but unlike your punch, which is horizontal or diagonal, we'll get into that later. Slam is vertical. You can go up, you can take high ground immediately. It's AoE damage / pressure. And by pressure I mean it deals damage to everybody, so it makes your supports have to heal everybody. And because you're dealing damage to everybody, it's a very good way to charge your ult. So if you're against a comp that you can't really kill, like everybody can get away from you or just like outduel you, right? It's really just those comps that you just can't do anything. If you just slam in, punch out over and over again, stay safe, build up your ult, you can create your own chance to just go all out. Actually, I think we'll touch on his passive real quick before I forget. Dealing damage with your abilities, slam and punch, you get 35 over health per enemy hit. With your ultimate, you get 75 per enemy hit. But I think the max over health you can get is 200. So if you slam the whole team, was that 5 people? 5 times 35 is 175. You're pretty much at nearly max. I know an extra 200 health sounds like insane on paper, but when you're actually playing it, you got to keep in mind you're being shot the entire time, so your health, it's going up, it's going down, mostly down. But if you want to slam in, get a bunch of overhealth, punch out, get your cooldowns back, so you have more health for when you go on the second time, it's there, it's an option. Which now brings us to your ultimate, the strongest ability you have. You spend all game building it up, little by little.
World may have power. God has given me a power even stronger than the world.
So I think you can see where this is headed. If you don't land directly on somebody's head, you aren't going to kill them. So you probably hear a lot of people say it's better to use the ult to escape. It's the ultimate escape tool. Copium. If you're using it to run away, you've already lost the fight, right? The fight's done, just die, reset, save it, initiate with it next time. See, I look at this ult as a green light to do whatever the hell you want. Make the stupidest play you can think of. Doesn't matter. You live. It's really just a second set of cooldowns, so you can burn absolutely everything you have, ult, do all of it again. Here's actually an example of both. I have my ult, I have an empower punch, I go for a stupid flank, fire my shots, I slam, all my builds are done. Look at that health, baby. My team is nowhere in sight, no health packs, I'm fine. Did I land on anybody? No. I had to run away, because I'm a pussy, and I suck. Skill issue. I probably shouldn't have used that clip. But I digress. It's been a bit of a hot discussion whether or not the regen was a buff or not, or a nerf, because they nerfed the ult charge rate. But I think it was a buff in the end, right? It's not the buff it needed, but I think it's a buff nonetheless. Kind of. It's weird. Weird buff. Situational buff. Side note, when you land from your ult, I wouldn't recommend charging your punch because it'll probably get cancelled by something. There's so much shit that can hit you so easily because you're kind of a big glowing target. I would slam out of it to dodge whatever's about to hit you and then punch. Doomfist playstyle. So we've gone over what everything does, we've got all the ingredients. But now we gotta make a cake. But sir, how do I tag with these abilities? Well, little Timmy, buckle up, because I'm about to tell you. This bad boy right here, I know what you're thinking. Breathtaking. This right here is Doomfist's best friend. That's right. It's not the Ana who can heal you from across the map. It's not the Kiriko cleansing you from all the violence. It's 200 tons of pure reinforced concrete. Natural cover. When you punch from cover. When you slam, you try and land near more cover. Right? Create an off angle. As we discussed with Power Block, it's not an ability to tank. You're not going to stand in front of all the enemies and block. You will die. What can protect him? Brick fucking walls. Most of your game plan, you'll probably be weaving between different covers, right? Taking space, walking forwards, shifting between covers. Very easy and basic way to take space and advance forwards. Find a wall, corner, choke, whatever it is, something to protect you naturally. We use our rules of engagement. You use one ability to go in. You save one to go out. And I suppose there's a bit of a debate whether you should punch in and slam out or slam in and punch out. Both have their uses, right? I'm not saying never do one or the other. You do both over a game, usually. In my humble opinion, I think punching in and slamming out is the way to go. Mainly because it's safer, and also your slam is more versatile. So if there's high ground you need to take, or you need to stop somebody else from having, you have it for that. And you can also catch rotations, you can dive. If your supports are getting dove, you can slam behind you to peel so they don't die. Plus, if you slam out and you do a 180, you can deal damage as you leave. So if you punch in, you deal damage, you slam out, you do more damage. I think it would be good to discuss the difference between a soft engage and a hard engage. A soft engage is what you'll be doing the majority of the time. It's an engagement you aren't committing to, which Doom is very good at, because you can build your ult pretty quick. It's a very low commitment, low resource. Hey, look at me, I'm here, I'm in your face, what are you going to do about it? And if they decide to do something about it, you're no longer there. Because you haven't fully committed. You can leave whenever you want. If you can get the enemy to use some kind of ability while you soft engage and you aren't committing, well done. You're winning. Here's an example. Enemies on this high ground, very bad for my team. How do I act as a tank? I remove the enemies from this spot. I then change angle, so the enemy's being shot by multiple directions. So they can either look at me, which as a tank is what I want, or they can look at my team. But instead they have to back off, because they have no cover and I've taken all the space from them. They're using shields, that Sig used his grass, poked through his hook, threw his trap on the ground. I didn't commit to any of that, so I can back off very easily. And now they have absolutely nothing to stop us from doing what we want to do. And on top of all that, I was building my ult that entire time. I used so many resources to prevent something that I wasn't even trying to do. Also, this is all open queue footage because it's all I had, but it's the same idea. Doom isn't made to fight other tanks. Getting into like a 1v1 with the enemy tank isn't ideal. You can disrupt them, your punch can cancel some key abilities. For real, the stuff you want to kill is behind the tank. So you can't just ignore most of them. Your target priority should be people who are alone or up on the high ground. This is why Doom's good against snipers, because you can delete them from existence. So farming your empowered punch to go for assassinations on squishies is a very good tactic, and I would recommend it. Doomfist isn't a babysitter. It's not your job to sit with your team, try to protect them with your little power block. I will say, in lower ranks, splitting from your team, not always the best idea. Sometimes you do have to babysit, because in these lower ranks, you can kind of help balance each other out by staying in a group. The weakness of that rank is kind of just mechanical skill, so staying in like a dog pile helps cover each other's weaknesses. And it sucks but sometimes you have to. How many times have you gone in, you're like 1v3 and you're feeling like a god, you're taking all this space, you turn around, entire team is dead. It's not anyone's fault, it's just the rank. People don't know how to play without a tank in front of them, so they kind of just die because they don't know how to live. So you can adjust to this by being more of a team brawler. His strongest attribute is his mobility. You should use it and abuse it. Remember, soft engage. We don't want to overcommit, feed, and die. We'll go over a quick visual of what I mean by soft engage. There's enemies up on the high ground, you slam up there, you fire a few shots, you fall down. You're completely safe, you build some ult charge, you're making whoever is up there look at you and not your team, so you're taking space. Maybe they shoot the shit out of you and you get an empowered punch, so next time you do it, you go for a big punch. Useful Doomfist tech. I would say the only essential one to know is a jump punch. The rest is all just spice. So normally when you punch, you just go to the end of the punch. You don't go very far. If you jump at any point during the punch, you keep the momentum and you go further, which will now lead us to a turn punch, which is simply turning before the jump. You can also cancel the jump with a slam to go even further. Now the higher you look up, the further you go, because you go higher. Speaking of higher, you can also cancel your slam with your other two abilities, block or punch. Normally, you slam about yay high. If you cancel the slam with another ability immediately, you go even higher. A bounce. This is when you do a jump punch, but you press jump as soon as you hit the object. The timing of this can change depending on the object you are trying to bounce off. Much like a diagonal. You can pretty much diag off anything in the game. The timing is just different depending on what it is. But it's basically you're clipping your head or your feet on the geometry. Most of them you do jump beforehand. These do take some practice because the timing is weird to kind of wrap your head around. But once you get it, you can pretty much do it off anything in the game. Now probably the most useless one in the game right now is balancing. There are certain spots where if you completely kill your momentum, you can stay there. It's not the most useful thing in the world. Well, it's useless actually. But it is something you can do. God damn, this video is long. Hopefully I can edit this into something that somewhat makes sense. If it didn't make sense, my bad. Hey, if you learned anything, feel free to like and subscribe. If you didn't learn anything and it made you worse, that's funny. You should subscribe too. I will catch you later and stay hydrated.